I want to talk about controlling your anger. Unfortunately, a lot of times we lose our anger and we do things that we will definitely regret. One of these things is hurting ourselves. Unfortunately, sometimes we lose our temper so much that we do what? I've heard of people doing cutting, where they're doing a lot of hurtful things to the body that we have to return. Again, the body that we have out on loan. So you guys know there's a lot involved with cutting. You guys may know people who do this. A lot of types of injury to the human body. Again, it's cutting your skin with sharp objects, head banging, biting, pulling out hair, hitting or punching. These all are very, very violent and painful ways to deal with your emotions. Okay? There's a lot better ways to deal with your anger, guys. Please don't regret and do something that you will regret forever. Okay? A lot of different things that you're going to have to practice to see what works best for you. If you lose your anger, there's a lot of things you can do. Some people give themselves a timeout. You know, it works with kids, and sometimes you got to give yourself a timeout. You say, I'm going to put myself in a timeout. I'm just going to calm myself down before I do anything I'm going to regret. Okay? You could take some deep breaths. Okay? A lot of people, that works very well. A lot of people are into the yoga thing. I don't know much about the yoga thing, but I know that when I'm very angry and I take just a few deep breaths, it makes me feel a whole lot better. Some people count backwards, 20, 19, 18, and by 1, they're just feeling a little bit better. Okay? So girls, please, again, the body we have is on loan. We don't want to damage it and give it back to God. Okay? This is not a way to ever deal with your anger, and there's just a lot less violent ways to deal with anger. You just have to find what works best for you. So again, don't let yourself turn into this, girls. There's much better ways. I want to see you turn into this, except not with that short skirt, and I'll get onto that in a minute, okay? I just liked her peaceful expression. Dressing God's temple. So we said again, this is God's temple. How am I going to dress it? Okay, I'll talk a little bit about this. I don't want to find any of these pictures of you guys on Facebook. I don't want to see this one. I don't want to see that one. And I don't want to see this one. And that one says, big flirt and a short skirt. Okay? So a lot of times, if I go on Facebook, I see things that just make me surprised. I see things that I say, why? Why would she want a picture of herself like this? Why? Why does she want the whole world to see this picture? And it confuses me. And unfortunately, I see it with people of all ages. People from high school, people from grammar school, people from college, people who are older and married, sometimes even servants. I'm like, why does she have a picture like this? I don't get it. And, you know, I just wonder if somebody's looking for maybe acceptance from others. Like if people tell you, wow, that picture of you looks really good in that really short skirt, does that make you feel better about yourself? Or sometimes I see some of the comments from guys, and they see a picture of a girl in a short skirt, and they put in a comment, wow, you look cute, call me. Is that the kind of comment you guys want? Is that the kind of comment you guys want? I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't think that's the kind of comment you guys want, because that's not the kind of attention we want from guys. If a guy's looking at that kind of picture, he's not looking at you. Unfortunately, he's looking at your body. He's not looking at you, he's looking at your body. And we already decided, boys are immature and have no self-control. So we don't want them looking at those kind of pictures. Okay? We know better. We know better. So please, girls, be careful with what you put on Facebook of yourself. Okay? You don't want that kind of attention. Avoid extremes. I'm not telling you to dress like this. You don't have to dress like this. Okay? You can be yourself. You know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. Okay? I trust you guys. You completely know what's inappropriate and appropriate. Okay. So, never forget that we are created in the image and likeness of God, and He does not make mistakes. That's one of the few facts that I'm positive of. He does not make mistakes, and you guys know that fact. So never forget that we're created in His image and likeness, okay? And that's why I tell you, be yourself and be proud of who you are. And again, keep asking yourself, why does God love us so much more than we love ourselves? We know how much He loves us. We know how much He's always looking out for us, how much He did for us. So why don't we love ourselves as much as He does? We need to do that. We have to work on that, okay? By the end of this retreat, I want you guys to be working on that, to love ourselves as much as God loves us, no matter how hard that is, because He loves us an infinite amount, okay? I mentioned already, count your blessings. Appreciate what God gave you. Sometimes we focus so much on the negatives. We walk around complaining so much. Instead, I want you guys to try to think of the positives. Instead of complaining, you could either walk around complaining every day, or you could walk around making the best of things. And that's what I want you guys to do, okay? I want you guys to walk around and make the best of everything, okay? Because we are much more blessed than others in this world. And we forget that a little bit too much. This is one of my favorite verses, Matthew 5:16. Let's say it together. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. So I want you guys to be the shining light, okay? Because of you, people will glorify your Father in heaven, okay? And believe it or not, it's not that hard to do. I know it sounds like I'm asking you to do a lot, but it's easier than you would imagine. And I'll tell you why. We had a girl from college who was doing a rotation in our pharmacy hospital department, okay? And she was actually Muslim. And she said to me, oh, I know so many Coptics. There's so many Coptics in the pharmacy school at Rutgers. I said, yes, I know. And she said to me, oh, do you know Miriam? I said, oh, of course I know Miriam. And she said to me, you know, there is so much I can say about Miriam. She said to me, Miriam has changed my life. She has brought me so much closer to God. I see the deep relationship that she has with God. She's just such a good person. She just always wants to help people. She's such a good person, and I've learned so much from her. And when she told me that, I realized how easy it is to be that positive light. Miriam wasn't trying to do any of this. She wasn't trying to get her to think that way or to do anything out of the ordinary. I know Miriam, and this is who Miriam is. She's a sweetheart. She's just always just trying to help people, an inherently good person who is very close to God. And this girl, who was not even a Christian, saw that and learned from her. She learned from her. She said, I see what a deep relationship she has, and I wish I could have a relationship like that with God. And I said, wow, I didn't realize how easy it is to touch other people's lives. So in your day-to-day, you will meet many people in high school, in college, and for the rest of your lives. And it's the little things that you do that will bring them closer to God, that will let them glorify your Father in heaven, that will let you be that shining light. It's not about you preaching to them. It's about the little things that you do. If they see Christ in you and they see that relationship that you have with God, that's what's going to bring them closer to God. Okay, so always remember that. Remember that. Always let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works. So how can I be a positive light? We talked already, just again, by the example that we set for people. I want you to be a leader, not a follower. Do you guys hear that expression about the blind leading the blind? What happens to them? They fall down. Where is that example from? From the Bible. It's from the Bible, okay? It's right in the Bible. Luke 6:39, can the blind lead the blind? Will they not both fall into the ditch? Okay? So I don't want you guys falling into the ditch, okay? I don't want you guys looking like this, okay? I want you guys to be the leaders, okay? And I'll give you guys an example. A lot of times I'll see my older son, if he does something wrong, I'll tell him, I'll yell at him, I say, what are you doing? Stop doing that. And then his little brother will automatically start copying him. And I say, what did you just do that for? I told him not to do it. And he said, well, he did it. Well, he did it. And sometimes that's how we are. We'll just copy the person because they did it, and therefore I will do it. But I want you guys, again, to be the leaders, not the followers. I want you to lead your own life, not that of your friends. Okay? Each of you has their own life and their own path to follow. Do not follow that of your friends. Okay? Unfortunately, one of the biggest problems that I see is that we are just so easily influenced. Maybe we don't realize it, but we are very easily influenced. If you ever notice and there's a group, there's usually one person who's kind of like giving all the orders and everybody else just does what? Follows, right? Usually it's one really opinionated person and everybody else is just kind of following. I don't want you guys to be the ones following, okay? Sometimes we make the mistake of taking our friends' advice instead of our parents, okay? Why? Because we think what? We think, what do our parents know? Our parents have no idea what it's like to be a teenager. They have no idea what I'm going through. And we forget that they were teenagers too, believe it or not. Could you guys imagine? Maybe your mom had a crush on someone when she was young? Ew, I know. It's hard to imagine. I know. But it's possible, okay? They're human beings, believe it or not. Believe it or not, they're human beings just like us, okay? So I want you guys to remember, when they're giving you advice, they may have actually went through something you're going through now. You may never have considered that. Maybe they went through the same exact thing, and that's why they're telling you the advice that they are. Okay? But sometimes we just don't want to listen or even think about it. I want to mention one more thing about being a follower. Okay? And this is a story that happened to me personally. So, freshman year in college, there were 4 of us who were always together. We were kind of like the 4 musketeers. We carpooled together. We were always together. 3 of us were Coptics. 1 of us was not Egyptian at all, not Coptic. Unfortunately, guess which one was the leader? Yeah, she was the leader. So the 3 of us were kind of just like follow whatever she said, okay? And of course, I didn't realize any of this back then. I realized all this later. So I'm sharing this with you. So we kind of followed her, and I had been very close to this girl actually through high school. We were high school friends all through the 4 years, and then we ended up at the same college together, and we were very close. So freshman year, again, we're 4 musketeers. And then we meet another girl in school, and she kind of like wants to be the 5th musketeer. Very nice girl, and then we start, carpooling together, and we're all friends. And then again, the leader, what I consider the leader of the group, said, I don't like her anymore. I don't think we should let her carpool with us. I don't think we should be friends with her. So the 3 of us did what? We listened. And looking back, I have no idea why we listened. The girl was very, very sweet, and I have no idea why we all just kind of abandoned her. She was the sweetest girl. In retrospect, I think, again, that the leader was somewhat jealous of her and decided that she no longer wanted her as part of the group. A couple of months go by, and what happens? This girl decides that now I'm next on the hit list, and she wants to no longer be friends with me. Now remember, I've been friends with her now since freshman year of high school, so it's been 5 years. She's a good friend of mine, and I am heartbroken, traumatized. I cried for days and days and weeks, and I just didn't understand. I even tried talking to her. I said, I tried to work it out with her to see what it was that was bothering her. I cried to her, and she just showed no emotion. She was very cold and made it clear that our friendship was over for what I consider no reason at all, really. And so, again, I had to deal with kind of like the heartache of losing a friend. So the 4 musketeers were kind of broken. So she kind of isolated me and one of the other girls, and then her and the other girl were separate. So my sister, who was actually 2 years younger than me at the time, and, well, still she's 2 years younger than me, but she gave me very good advice. 2 pieces of advice which I will never forget, and I want to share them with you. The first piece of advice she shared with me was, Mona, did you ever think that God did this for a reason? Maybe she's not a good friend for you. And I started thinking about it. And I kept thinking about it. I said, oh my God, she's absolutely right. This girl, in retrospect, now that I look back, was very cold, like I said, had no problems making people feel terrible. I mean, she really had no problem hurting a lot of people's feelings. And I was blind to it because I had known her for so many years, so I was just blind. I was the blind follower. And I said, you're absolutely right. Thank God. Thank God. God did this for a reason. Obviously, if I stayed in bad company, it would have rubbed off on me over time, if it hadn't already. And so God definitely did this for a reason. This girl was really, when I look back at all the different things, she was a terrible influence. And God absolutely did this for a reason. So what happened instead is I became very close. As I said, the 4 musketeers were broken into 2 and 2. I became very close to the other girl. Her and I were actually always Sunday school buddies. We were always in Sunday school together. We grew up very close together. And guess what? 20 years later, she's still my best friend till this day. We have a lot in common, and believe it or not, both our husbands are priests as well. So believe it or not, God works it out that He knows who's a good friend for you. He knows who's a good fit for you. So if this happens to you, I know you guys know who it is. If this happens to you, believe it or not, it is for a reason. And you may not realize it that minute, but God is bringing you further away from that friend or whoever you think is a friend for a reason. So don't ever, ever let it upset you. It is happening for a reason because God knows who's going to bring you closer to Him, and God knows who's going to bring you further from Him, okay? The second advice that my sister gave me was you don't need tons and tons of so-so friends. If you have God and one really good friend, sometimes that's all you need to get through life.